Welcome. We believe that listening is the most natural way to learn a foreign language. On this channel we will publish conversations between two people each time on a different topic so that you can improve your English without boring grammatical rules. In order for the brain to absorb the language as much as possible and to automatically think and speak in English, it is recommended to listen to each episode several times at a distance of days. If you find these podcasts useful, we would be grateful if you would subscribe to the channel and like. Enjoy.
Okay, so longevity. It's a hot topic, right? Everyone wants to live longer, healthier lives,
Yeah.
right? And that's exactly what we're going to be
Absolutely.
digging into today in this deep dive, looking at this book
Yeah.
by Professor Walter Longo, The Longevity Diet. Yeah, I gotta say,
Yeah.
La Dieta de la Longevità.
Right.
The Italian title just sounds so much
Oh,
cooler, right?
It does.
But cool names aside, this approach that he lays out in the book is really making waves in the health and wellness world.
It really is. And I think part of what makes it stand out is this two-pronged approach, right? It's not just about what you're eating on a daily basis, but
Right.
it's also strategically incorporating these periods of fasting.
Right. So we've got the daily diet, and then we've got this thing called the fasting mimicking diet, or FMD.
Exactly.
Let's unpack the daily diet first.
Okay.
I mean, it seems they have a lot in common with the Mediterranean diet,
It does.
but with some key distinctions.
Yeah, you can think of it as being primarily plant-based. So lots of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and legumes.
Got it.
You're going to be enjoying fish a couple of times a week, but red meat and processed foods are kept to a bare minimum.
Yeah.
And sugar, forget about it.
So, like you said, Mediterranean-inspired but stricter.
Yeah,
I'm guessing there's a good reason for these restrictions.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This dietary approach is really designed to combat chronic inflammation,
Okay.
which is one of the key drivers of
Okay.
aging and a lot of those age-related diseases.
I see.
You can almost think of chronic inflammation as this like low-grade fire that's smoldering within your body, just slowly causing damage over time.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
So by cutting out the inflammatory culprits, we're essentially dousing those flames, like putting the fire out.
Precisely.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
So the daily diet is kind of laying the foundation
Yes.
for a healthier internal environment.
It is, for sure.
Now, let's talk about the fasting mimicking diet. This is the thing that I'm like the most curious about, I think.
Yeah, it's really
The
interesting.
5-day protocol that you would repeat periodically, maybe every couple months or something.
It can be, yeah, it can vary depending on individual needs.
Okay.
But yeah, you're looking at sort of like
Okay.
a cycle.
Oh, and fasting mimicking.
Right.
So you're not actually fully fasting.
No, you're not.
What's going on there?
So the FMD is carefully calibrated to provide just enough nutrients so your body doesn't think it's starving, and go into starvation mode, but it still triggers the beneficial changes that are associated with fasting.
So it's like tricking the body.
Yeah, in a way, you could say that.
But what exactly are those beneficial changes?
So studies on the FMD have shown some remarkable results.
Yeah.
For instance, it significantly reduces inflammatory markers
Okay.
like C-reactive protein or CRP,
Okay.
which is kind of like a red flag for inflammation, so to speak.
Okay.
When you're on the FMD, that red flag comes down.
Okay, so lowering inflammation,
Right.
that's a good thing, we know that,
Exactly.
but there's more to it, right?
Yeah.
I remember reading something about stem cells in the book.
You're right. The FMD actually boosts the production of specific stem cells.
Okay.
And stem cells, those are like your body's repair crew.
Okay.
They're capable of transforming into different cell types
Yeah.
and replenishing tissues that have been damaged.
So by increasing stem cells, the FMD is essentially like it's giving your body
Yes.
the tools that it needs to repair itself.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like giving your body's repair team a boost, potentially slowing down the aging process at the cellular level.
Wow. Okay. Now, I also remember reading something about insulin sensitivity.
Okay?
Now, I'll admit that's always been kind of a fuzzy concept for me.
Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky.
Can you break it down for our listener and me?
Of course.
I mean, what is insulin sensitivity?
So insulin is like a key that unlocks your cells,
Okay.
and it lets sugar in to be used for energy. But as we age, or if we're not making the best dietary choices, our cells can become resistant to insulin.
Okay.
And that can lead to problems like type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
The FMD has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, so your cells become more responsive to insulin, and you're better able to regulate blood sugar levels.
So it's not just about feeling good in the moment.
Right.
It's actually impacting our long-term health by addressing some of these major risk factors.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Okay.
And on top of all that, there's evidence suggesting that the FMD can actually activate certain genes that play a role in protecting against diseases like cancer and heart disease.
Wow. So we're talking about potential protection on multiple fronts.
We are?
This is a lot to take in, this FMD.
Yeah.
So we've got the daily diet that's focused on keeping inflammation at bay.
Right.
And then the FMD, which almost sounds like a cellular rejuvenation boot camp or something.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
That's intense.
Yeah, it is.
It's important to remember, though, that this is a lifestyle change, not a quick fix.
Right. And that's really key. I think one of the things that Professor Longo emphasizes in his book is that it takes dedication and long-term commitment to really see these benefits.
Absolutely. And as always, we need to emphasize that anyone considering making significant dietary changes needs to consult with their doctor first.
Definitely.
Especially important if you have any pre-existing health conditions.
Absolutely.
Or if you're on medication.
Couldn't agree more.
Talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Now, with all this information swirling around, I mean, what stands out to you the most from this book? What's captured your attention?
Honestly, just the idea that we can actually influence our health and lifespan, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the possibilities if we could all just even gradually incorporate some of these principles.
Right.
I mean, it could make a real difference in our health and longevity.
Definitely something to think about, something to consider. It's a journey, right?
It is.
And if this has piqued your curiosity at all, I highly recommend checking out the book.
It's a good read.
The Longevity Diet. It's really fascinating. You'll dive deep into the science behind this approach.
Yeah.
And maybe even find yourself rethinking your relationship with food and how it impacts your long-term health.
Absolutely.
Very cool stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.